Hey, it's Social Club. We are here. We got James Clark, the man, the legend.
We have me
from Reed Aston Villa. We've got Robbie Lyle from Arsenal Fan TV, and we've got Ped. Do you know what I did?
Yeah. Coffee nice.
What's his second name?
Get me coffee.
Ped Pedersen from Pedtown. Peter McPartland.
It's in the Ped district.
From @Toffee TV 1. Branding. So, first thing I want to discuss, obviously, the FA Cup third round was at the weekend. It was a thing. It happened. And it was arguably the worst third round of the FA Cup of all time. Now, I'm throwing that out there. Whether I agree with it or not will change depending on what you guys say. Now, I want to know from the perspective of the people in this room, from a pseudo-neutral perspective, because you can't be neutral, I think, in a competition where we all had teams involved. And then also from a purely personal perspective, was that the worst third round ever?
To some extent, I can understand where the statement comes from, but like there was a bits in there.
Quite positive for Aston Villa for a weekend, wasn't it?
At least we didn't bloody get lose, did we? To be fair, but like I think there's splatterings from a neutral perspective of decent games, like Oxford, like Swansea going to Oxford and just beating them 3-1. That looked like a Premier League game. Some of the play that Oxford were doing. That's sick to see. Like that's what the FA Cup's about. So that's pretty decent.
Yeah.
But from a Villa perspective, it's just a bit like
It's just more of the same.
Yeah, it's just more of the same. And we don't lose, but then the fans go and kind of ruin it themselves by like just kicking up a fuss and different things like that.
Well, it's interesting.
A marginal amount, I'd say. Marginal amount.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show because I want to discuss the Micah Richards thing as well, which I thought was really interesting the weekend. But I mean, Robbie, what about for you? I think the problem is, and you'll get this, and I guess Ped will get it too, to be fair, because Everton are a big club.
Did that hurt? Did it hurt?
No. They're a big club. They're not as big as Newcastle, but they're a big club.
Don't get started, please. Don't set him off. Don't set him off, please.
But the thing is, I find that the media are just. I mean, they're so desperate for this magic of the FA Cup thing that they just want us to get. They want the shocks, and they go out the way to build up the shocks instead of just enjoying the footy and then being amazed and pleased when something brilliant happens. They're like. It gets on my tits, basically, the fact that Exeter game for us on the Friday, for a start, it being on the Friday, it being impossible for Liverpool fans to get to and get home from in a night.
You say that.
And then, you know, and literally it was just the narrative was set up. Exeter, plucky Exeter doing this and that. That winds me up, and that's why I think from a media perspective, they'll have been devastated with this round of fixtures because they didn't have enough of that. You know, third round.
That was a good game, wasn't it? That Liverpool Exeter game was a good game. There was a couple of giant killings in it, which they always love. Our game, I went to the game. I really enjoyed it, and I was kind of really surprised, like in our game, for instance, how strong both teams were. Sunderland put out a pretty strong team. We put out a pretty strong team, and I was sort of looking around at a lot of the other teams. I mean, obviously Liverpool had a lot of injuries, so they couldn't. Risk putting out a really strong team. But I was looking at a lot of other teams and they had quite strong teams, stronger than what I was expecting a lot of them. So I think it was a decent... Yeah, I agree with you, actually, because the media, they're so desperate to see these mega giant killings, you know. But there were some good games. The game with Leicester and Spurs, where Spurs robbed Leicester. The referee, what was he... But anyway, that's another matter. But... You know, it was a really enjoyable game, and I thought it was a decent third round.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose. What's your thoughts on it, Pep? Because there is definitely a certain amount of what I've said there in the media. They're just gagging for it, aren't they? They're gagging for a bit of a.
I suppose that's the selling point. It was the selling point before the game. Got these adverts on BBC. You know, it's all about you've got so and so, but who knows the magic of the cup. I mean, our game was absolutely terrible. Dagenham and Redbridge were just awful.
You said it's the worst team you've ever seen.
Oh, they were terrible, and I don't mean that in any disrespect. Well, I do, but just got to say that, haven't I?
You're just stating a fact.
They turned up and never even tried. And you're thinking our team was full of like squad players who some of them hadn't played for a while, and you're thinking, have a go, even if it's just long ball over the top. They looked like they were there just for a day out, and listen, the cat was amazing. There was a cat on the pitch.
Yeah.
Mark
cutie.
Lawrenson said Stephen Penis instead of Stephen Pena. I mean, these are the true highlights of the game. But again, I said this last week when we were talking about the FA Cup. They're selling it all wrong for me, and I'll just give you an example of it. Obviously, you've got all those games Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoffs. You know, you've got fans abroad. I was looking on Twitter, a lot of Everton fans saying the game's not on anywhere. Everton decided that they were having website maintenance at 3 o'clock. That's what you do. So there was no commentary from the club, and they couldn't get any local commentary because of the hard thing abroad. So Everton fans were like, they couldn't see the game anywhere. So they were relying on, you know, things like Sky Sports News, who said Dagenham had equalised, which threw the cat amongst the pigeons. You think, it's the FA Cup, you're trying to sell it. These fans are used to watching football week in and week out, any game they want, and they can't get to see their team in the FA Cup. What does that say to them about this trophy? It just says to them,
Poxy.
it's crap, and I can't wait till Wednesday when the Premier League game, and I'm glad we're resting players and not really that bothered about it. So whether this shocks or not, it just doesn't really matter to some people. Yeah. And as this market gets bigger and bigger and the world gets smaller and smaller, you know, the FA are just not selling it very well. It might be selling it to us and it's all about shocks, but
I also feel, you know, going to what you said, I always think the Premier League were out of order as well, because having those games.
But they play on it though. Did they play on that though?
But they're out of order. Having, you know, you've got the FA Cup weekend, and then in the middle of the week now, you've got massive Premier League games, which means that inevitably Premier League teams are going to rest loads and loads of players. You know, and I just thought why do they need to have that game during the week?
Because for me, that's what they're doing. They're playing on the fact that fans can't wait for the and they're making it smaller, making it less important. But they don't care, do they? They don't care.
They're supposed to work together, aren't they?
Yeah, they're raking it in with the Premier League off by using their brand. Like the Premier League, what the Premier League's done well, fair play to them. They've branded themselves excellently since the beginning. The FA have never been able to do that kind of thing, and that's where the downfall is, unfortunately. And it's just really frustrating because, like, imagine if the Swansea game was on TV. I know I've mentioned it already, but imagine if that was on TV, the Oxford-Swansea game. American fan looking at that be like, "Oh my days, this is incredible!" Yeah. Like a League Two side.
I'm not sure they'd say, "Oh my days."
You know what I mean? Yeah. But like that would be a great kind of great kind of thing for them to see. It is frustrating, to be fair, but like this is what the FA is.
Well, you know, they took the chances, didn't they? They looked at us and looked at Exeter and thought, go ahead, we'll have a go at that, because there's that, you know, there exists the possibility. But the thing that got me about it, the thing that really did my head in, the coverage of it was like, first off, they spent the whole build up to the game going on about it, and then you saw the team we put out, and, you know, put aside the motivations or whatever, that was barely Liverpool that was on that team, out on that pitch there, and they go like, "Oh, they've taken the lead against Liverpool." It's like, look, I know I feel like I'm splitting hairs a little bit, but you've taken the lead against Liverpool's under-21s, and that is an achievement. But is it that, you know? Let's not wank all over it. Like, you know what I mean, let's look at it for what it is. It was you know, Exeter gave a good account of themselves. Thought Liverpool's kids gave a pretty good account of themselves by and large, but settle down. You know, you're not ITV. Yeah. You know, this isn't one of the meaningless England Euro qualifying games. You know, where you have to sell it like it's the greatest thing on earth. Just call it like it is.
I suppose they do have to sell it though, because it's literally the last thing the BBC have got.
I know,
they've got nothing else.
Have a bit of dignity about it, like, you know what I mean? I get it, but people, it's on telly. People are either going to watch it or they're not, or they're there, they're watching it. You know what I mean? Be it doing that one during the coverage is
but because it's free. Maybe you are attracting a certain element of people that are just casual football fans, you know, and they do get caught up in it all. And there might be some people out there who might have looked at Liverpool's team and not even knew. Yeah, they would have probably known about Bogdan, but they probably wouldn't have knew anything about anything else. But so I suppose that's what they're trying. At the end of this, and that, I suppose from the BBC's point of view, this is the last thing they've got. They'll be selling it to ITV2 soon or something. They wheeled
Lineker back for it, didn't they? Like, you know what I mean? Please, Gary, there's some football for you to talk about. It's live. You get to go to the game and everything. Oh, okay. Go on then. That's fine. The only thing about it is that it was interesting, like how the narrative shifted during our game, where it started out like, So they took the lead, and then we got the equaliser, and Liverpool doing all right. And it shifted from plucky underdogs Exeter to, oh, isn't it brave giving so many young kids an opportunity in such a big game like this? Like, yeah. Or he felt that, yes, that, but he also felt that his kids actually could do a job against a League Two side, which maybe a touch of arrogance, I guess, but there you go.
Weren't just kids, by the way.
No, it was Jose Enrique Bentman. We had a £32.5 million centre forward.
Thank you. We spent the money very well, didn't we?
To be fair, I mean, everyone knows. I mean, Friday night under the lights at Exeter. I mean,
is that the new legend?
It's the story that you know goes around the world.
Everyone remember where they were that day.
To be fair, I was more interested in Paul Tisdale's fashion sense. What a bloke!
What a
bloke! No, that's just. I want to know where he gets his fashion from.
I don't.
I think it's.
Like, does he travel to London?
It's Richard O'Brien who did the Crystal Maze. He's still alive. Is that him? That's where he gets
his
it from.
afterlife.
Yeah. That's where he basically his hand-me-downs. He had a bit of a fire. So he's gone. I don't know if he's dead. If he's still alive, I apologise. If he's dead, then
I think it's his. It's his mate's range or something. And he's just literally wearing it. Apparently it's called Tiff for Men or something. But
that's the weirdest kind of advertising I've ever seen, like, in the world of marketing.
There's no room for that in football. Yeah. No room for
Really? I think it's great. What a bloke.
Yeah.
Cravats.
Not? Express yourself. He's got a team expressing themselves on the football pitch. Go for it on the touchline.
In the championship.
Let's
see how far that
That
goes.
was harsh. Come on,
Let's see how far that goes. A Burnley on a cold Tuesday.
I might go home and cry. You never know.
Oh, you're so hard. Come on.
Anyway, on that note,
Kick a man while he's down.
We've still got plenty to discuss. Do let us know your thoughts on the FA Cup and whether it's been devalued, whether you enjoyed the third round on a whole, or did it need more shocks to be more third round like? From a personal perspective, I'm just happy we didn't get knocked out because I can't be arsed. I can't be arsed with losing games for the start, but because we've lost so many third round games against teams that we should have beaten, that just taking to a replay means that, everyone will forget. Hopefully everyone will forget about it. Anyway, still to come on the show this week, we're going to ask about the long-term future of Tim Howard, because by popular demand, whether Adidas could lead to the sack of Louis van Gaal. We've also got can Liverpool stop Arsenal? A little bit of a preview ahead of the Wednesday night's game, and a late addition to the agenda as posed by the gents here. And as mentioned earlier on in the show, Micah Richards having a little bit of a word, close up and personal with the Aston Villa fans, and what we all made of that, and whether we think it's something that's good, bad, or just whatever. Anyway, check back in for the rest of the show. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the Ball Street YouTube channel as well, and we'll see you there. Ta-ra.